You'd think before telling a system admin to uninstall something, they'd at least ask what it's being used for. Hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob, and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today's episode is packed with stories of people following orders a little too well. We have strict schedules, military kitchens, and power-hungry managers who are all learning why compliance can be a dangerous game. A huge shout out to the members of the Karma crew. I sincerely thank you for supporting the channel, and if you missed it, we dropped a brand new Pro Revenge video a couple days ago just for Karma crew. You don't want to miss that one. Go back a couple days and check it out. Alright, on to today's stories. Let's jump right in. This story comes to us from the Corvair. Unauthorized software? Happy to remove it. I work as a contractor for a department that aims high, flies, fights, and wins occasionally, I'm told. A security scan popped my work laptop for having Python installed, which I was told wasn't authorized for local use at my site. Edit, I had documentation showing it's approved for the enterprise network as a whole, and I knew 3 other sites using it. I was not notified it was not approved at our site until I was told to remove it, and our local software inventory, an old spreadsheet, was not provided until this event. This all happened within an official ticketing system, so I didn't even have to ask for it in writing or for it to be confirmed. I simply acknowledged and said I would immediately remove Python from any and all systems I operate per instructions. Edit, the instruction was from a person and was to remove it from all devices I used. I was provided no alternative actions, as according to this individual, it was not allowed anywhere on our site. The site lost a lot of its fancier VoIP system capabilities, such as call trees, teleconference numbers, emergency dial downs, operator functionality, recording capabilities, and announcements in the span of about 30 minutes as I removed Python from the servers I ran. The servers leveraged Python package against asterisk VoIP service used only for those unique cases to do fancy and cool things with call routing and telephony automation. And then it didn't. I reported why the outage was occurring and was immediately told to reinstall Python everywhere and that they would make an exception. A short-lived outage, but still amusing. Moral of the story, don't tell a system admin to uninstall something without asking what it's used for first. Edit, yes, I should have tried to argue the matter, but the individual who sent the instruction has a very forceful personality, and it would have caused me just as much pain to try and do the right thing as it did to simply comply and have to fix it after. My chain was not upset with me when they saw the ticket. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called PhoneGuy509. It says, as a VoIP guy myself, that would have been gut-wrenching to do, knowing often that the hooks don't always come back correctly. I think I would have snapshot and simply restored. Glad that worked out for you, and hope they learned a valuable lesson. OP responded and said, it was surprisingly smooth to be fair, asterisk is fairly stable, and I just had to restart all the related services. I'm at the point where most things I've automated, however, so it gave me something to do. So you mean to tell me that your cybersecurity people didn't understand why Python needed to be there to help your VoIP system? Okay. I think all of those cybersecurity people need to go back and get some more training because that's just general knowledge. If they knew anything about how their systems worked that they're supposed to be securing, then they would have known that Python needed to be there. When your boss tells you not to speak up, sometimes the best revenge is just staying quiet and letting the fallout speak for itself. This story comes to us from Jarl Gunbjorn. Check down, not up. I was a cook in the army for a few years in the mid-aughts and had a surprisingly nice deployment to Bagram, Afghanistan. We would have a soul food night once a week stateside, but it was replaced by steak and lobster when we deployed. Since it had been a while since the last one, the dining facility manager decided it was time to bring back the soul food. He was off that night and a couple of our other higher leadership were in Qatar or on leave, so we had a newly promoted staff sergeant, E6, running the show. He was career Army, took forever to get this promotion, and excited about his progress. Meanwhile, I had just earned a demotion E3 to E2 a couple months prior and was persona non grata. So when I asked him where some of the items he took responsibility for were, as we approached open, he was furious. He gave me a hurried butt chewing that ended with, "Check down, not up." So 20 minutes later when he told me the line was set up and to get out there, I did not tell him he forgot one of his items. We opened to serve and our Command Sergeant Major E9 and his newest guests were already lined up for soul food night. He requests a bit of this and that and then stops in his tracks. "Where's the corn?" "I'm sorry, Sergeant Major, I'm not sure. I swear I saw some getting made." "You better have some darn corn, it's my favorite." Weird, but okay. "I can get Sergeant Jerkface for you." "Nope, I'll get him myself." He proceeded to enter the kitchen and began asking questions. The new staff sergeant comes hustling out, looks at the line, looks in a warmer, and pulls out a pan of corn on the cob. I pull one of the extra pans of another item we had out, and he slots the corn in. Then he tries throwing me under the bus with the Command Sergeant Major standing there. "Why didn't you tell me the corn was not out?" "Sergeant, you just chewed me out for this. You said check down, not up." "I didn't mean it like that." Then the Command Sergeant Major pulled him over towards the snack bar and laid into him for the next 15 to 20 minutes. I had never been happier while on the line. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called HoseDatBirth911. It says, "OP could only check one notch down. Not a lot of room to look when you're second from the bottom." OP responded and said, "They still had me in charge of a couple E4s who got promoted about when I got demoted. They wanted results and did not mind ignoring rank for that. But otherwise, you are right. I was the only E2 I knew of at that point in the deployment. Even the new kids got promoted up." Alright, is anybody else here wondering what OP did to get demoted? Unfortunately, it's not part of the story, and I couldn't find it anywhere in the comments, but curiosity is really killing the cat here. The fact that OP as an E2 was willing to rattle the cage of an E6 might give you a little idea of why they were demoted though. Some people get real bold with their attitude right up until they need a hand and realize no one's stepping out of their lane to help them. This story comes to us from Illuminatus Prime. Here's my stay in your lane story. Long ago, before ChatGPT, before Reddit, and even before the internet, ARPANET doesn't count here. I was a college kid brought in as a part-time bench tech at a family-run appliance store. I did my job well enough to reduce their backlog of repairs to practically zero. Only those items awaiting new parts were still on my bench. Owner's daughter Jane, not her real name, ran the office. A really nice cutie. She could sell snow to the Eskimos. Owner hired a new salesperson, John, not his real name, who immediately took a shining to Jane and tried to monopolize her attention. When I took my psych classes, I learned he was likely a narcissist with BPD. One day, Jane went across the street for some donuts. I held the door open for her and offered to carry the box to the office. John immediately tells me to get back to work and to stay in my lane, or words to that effect, in front of Jane, the owner, and a couple of customers. Cue the malicious compliance. The next week, John escorts Jane across the street and comes back alone with not just one, but 3 boxes of donuts. Jane had another errand to run. I watch from across the sales room as John tries to pull the push door open. Of course, he fumbles the boxes which spill onto the sidewalk. "The F is wrong with you? Why the F didn't you help me?" "That's not my lane, John, remember?" Owner comes out, hears both of our stories, tells me to clean up the mess, and takes John into his office and closes the door. I was able to consolidate the donuts that hadn't hit the sidewalk into one box. The rest went to feed the dogs out by the dumpsters. Cue the fallout. Guess who got fired? The narcissistic bully boy woofing after the owner's daughter, or the part-time bench tech whose efficiency resulted in good customer service and a lot of buffer time? Clue? Not the narcissist. I picked up another similar job at the competition across town. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Michael Gum 97. It says, I hope that you and Jane got together. Oh well. And really, isn't there a sign that tells you which way the door opens? Or was he one of those people who thought that reading was beneath him? OP responded and said, first sentence in the second paragraph after cue the malicious compliance, I watched from across the sales room as John tries to pull the push door open. And no, Jane and I never got together. I'm not sure which I'm more upset over in this story, the fact that OP got fired and the narcissist got to stay, or the fact that 2 full boxes of donuts got destroyed and fed to the stray dogs. Ugh, poor donuts. When you punish someone for being helpful, don't be surprised when they stop going the extra mile, literally. This story comes to us from Tony Two Shires. Clocking in too early? No problem. I'll show up later then. I used to work at a bank as a teller. It wasn't glamorous, but it was easy and convenient as I lived a hop, skip, and a jump away. A 5-minute walk, and you could see the bank from my house. As such, I was almost always one of, if not the, first person there. We were expected to be there by 7:15 to open at 7:30, but the managers tried to get there early, so we had time to set up, like log in, fill drawers, have a morning meeting, that kind of stuff. When opening for the day, you need at least 2 people for safety reasons, so one of which was usually me, and I was frequently arriving around 7, so the manager could unlock and we could set up. I had been clocking in after getting inside, which I guess was starting to add up, combined with the amount of times we have to stay past closing. I was told that there's only a 6-minute grace period for clocking in early or late, that I had clocked in early too many times, and that about 2 weeks of my punches would be adjusted. I said, okay, is this you specifically telling me to stop showing up early? They said, yes, it is. So I showed up at 7:20 every day. I stopped being there early. I stopped helping set up. I even took advantage of the grace period to be about 5 minutes late every day to make sure I didn't get stuck helping setting anything up. It sucked and it didn't work for anyone. We were frantically trying to open nearly every morning as most other employees didn't care about procedures, just their own drawers. One day, a few weeks later, a manager asked if I could come in earlier than usual to help with the alarm test. They were supposed to be done once a month, and for almost a year, I was the one who did them with the opening manager. Apparently, the test was supposed to get done that morning, but the other employee didn't show up early enough to start before we opened for the day. Sure, no problem. I was in by 7 the next morning and clocked in. It's sad to see we live in a world where trying to be efficient is seen as trying to game the system. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Retired BSN. It says, adjusting your paycheck is wage theft. Report it. You need to be paid for the time you put in. They can penalize you in other ways if early clock-ins continue, but they can't give you new rules and adjust past performance to go along with that. You know, it's funny, I just mentioned this in an episode a couple days ago where I said that Rick used to adjust our schedules anytime we came in early or left late, and he would just put them back to the regular time that we were supposed to be there or the regular time that we were supposed to leave. He'd say, you can leave early next day, and that would never happen. I just wish I had the balls back then to say something about it, but I was quite a bit younger than I am now and fairly new to the workforce, so I just let it happen. These days, that would never happen with me. Upper management had a brilliant idea until reality hit and one boss decided to follow their orders exactly as written. This story comes to us from Great Palpatine. Do we offer home deliveries? No, we don't. Another tale from my retail experience, this time featuring my boss versus higher management. Things are going relatively smoothly until one fine day, Manglement recently introduces the idea of introducing home deliveries. No doubt this had to do with a newly promoted manager to a key role in Manglement, whom we all knew has been coveting the position for years. Several people left after his ascent, always a bad sign, especially in retail. Brilliant idea in theory, terrible in practice. First time we do home delivery, we run into all sorts of logistical trouble. First, the goods don't arrive on time. Second, when they finally arrive, logistics messes up the delivery time. Some of the items are perishable, and so by the time delivery is scheduled and actually takes place, they are not as good as before. Third, the whole order can also be time sensitive because our customer needs it as soon as possible. What this means for our store is, boss has to send someone from our already short-staffed store to do the delivery, and it comes out from our store's own bottom line, and it comes along with a whole host of other workers' rights issues, which is too complex for me to get into. Anyway, the first delivery was a pain to deal with, and for her efforts, what did my boss get from the upper manglement? Terse but vague statements that don't mean anything. That she's responsible for the store and the staff, and to manage customer expectations moving forward. So, boss complies. We will indeed manage customer expectations. Imagine Manglement is going all out saying, we now offer home delivery. Our customers, many of whom are elderly or are busy adults caring for their elderly parents or dependents, arriving at our store excitedly with the expectation of home delivery. And we are actively managing customer expectations. Home delivery is available, yes, but it can take up to a month or even longer. Sorry, sir, we understand this is time sensitive, but based on past experience, we cannot guarantee a delivery date at this time. We highly recommend you take the most time sensitive products home first. I'm going to complain. Many customers are rightly fuming. Apologies, we understand your frustration. If you'd like to give some feedback, here is Manglement's contact. Not long after, boss gets a call from Manglement asking what's going on with home delivery. We've managed customer expectations, as you asked, boss explains quietly but firmly. I wish I could hear what the response was on the other end of the line. It was also rumored that there was a meeting which all outlet bosses were invited to for discussion of this new policy, but I can't confirm this sadly. All I do know is that shortly after, Manglement stops pressuring my boss to offer home delivery, and the ads on home delivery at our store are quietly taken down. Also, new Manglement manager left for another unnamed position at suspiciously short notice, potentially another sign that he was probably behind this whole farce in the first place. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Mizinamo. It says, setting down expectations but not giving people the tools they need to fulfill them. A classic. Did manager think you could just teleport those items into people's homes without any logistics being involved at all? Yeah, I don't think management was thinking about what this would do to the store. If you need people to deliver stuff, that means you need extra people working at the store that can deliver stuff. You don't take from your already short-staffed store and send them out on the road, because then your store will suffer. Ask me how I know about that. Another thing from my time with Rick. And I know I missed it when I talked about Rick earlier, but I'll put it in here. Screw you, Rick. Screw you very much. When a new manager tries to control everything, sometimes the best move is to sit back, follow orders, and let their plan crash on its own. This story comes to us from Shadow17. Yes, sir, only as you say. My manager was new to the company, and I've been here over 18 years and pretty well run my area solo. We are a high-end production facility, and I'm part of the incoming quality and test engineering team. I always stay well ahead of production, along with performing my other tasks. I consult with the production and inventory supervisors daily to ensure I know what's on the horizon, and have anything they will need ready well ahead of time. I also get requests from the development engineering group to test new products during development. All this requires strategic planning and the ability to shift direction at any time to keep a flow going. In steps this new manager. We had issues from the first meeting. Seems he doesn't like being in a room where he isn't the smartest one there. So after a few weeks of getting to know the place, he sends an email. No one can alter OP's schedule without going through me first. I will set his priorities and work hours going forward. I knew exactly what this would do to my balanced flow. Sure enough, The next week, we had 2 product design qualifications and a customer surprise arrival to watch the testing. My manager left strict instructions that I was to remain on production material only. No one could get in contact with him. He had signed out as a work from home day, but he wasn't answering any of the numbers he had given. Turns out, they did eventually track him down at the local park with his kids, but not before the customer had left, mad and frustrated. The next week, he called me into his office, and he had the gall to try to write me up for not testing the product when the client arrived. I handed him a printed copy of his email and insisted that the write-up be witnessed by a member of the HR team. He reset the meeting for 3 days later, giving him time to prep the HR rep to his side of the story. First question she asked was why I didn't test the products when asked, and I handed her the email. I was told if I violated this new policy he created, I would be written up. So I followed it, and I'm still being written up. I would like to file a harassment complaint against this manager. His voice cracked as he stammered out, "Now, let's just slow this down a bit." The HR rep knew she couldn't ignore my charges, even if she didn't agree. The company requires all harassment claims to be investigated. The meeting ended there. The harassment claim was documented as a verbal warning. And for the last 2 years, he won't engage with me at all. He won't even let me know when we're having a staff meeting. I hear about it the next day from the others. Suits me, the less I see of him, the better. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called AmbitiousRub2047. It says, I would file a new harassment claim as he would intentionally skip you from important meetings. Agree with this commenter. If OP is being left out from all of the staff meetings, there could be things being put into place there that they don't know about and will come back to bite them in the butt later. So yes, another complaint needs to be made that this manager isn't letting you know about staff meetings, so you really have no clue what's going on at your workplace. I'm sure HR would love to hear that and maybe talk to him again, and this time it probably won't be a verbal warning. Alright, I think we'll end this one here. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on your preferred podcasting platform. And if you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really does help us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.